a couple weeks ago, I was able to spend a little time on the Georgia coast, and I didn't have significant opportunity to fish while I was in the area, but I did spend time in some areas that I've fished previously and that I know offer some really good fishing opportunities. And I wanted to tell a little bit about those areas. I shot a few video clips of some of the things that I saw along the way just to show what the different access points look like and what's there, because I know a lot of times when I'm considering fishing an area, I'm looking on maps, I'm looking at photos, trying to find things about it, but there's a big difference in seeing a spot on the map, even overhead on the satellite view, and actually seeing the slope of the beach, or how high a pier is off the water, or just generally what the access looks like, what you have when you get there. So that's what I wanted to paint a picture of, and I've done one of the videos I've already released, and that was the Jekyll Island Fishing Center and some of the opportunities that are right there. But for today, I wanted to talk more about St. Simon's Island, specifically a few of the really good public fishing access areas that are available at St. Simon's. St. Simon's is a place where a lot of people like to go on vacation, or you might be there on kind of a multi-tier fishing sort of a trip. But if you're in the area, these are some of the spots that I would recommend that you explore to do some fishing if you don't have a boat, or if you just enjoy fishing from the shore, or wading, or out on a pier. I'll start with the most obvious spot on the island, and the place that provides the easiest access to the most anglers, and that's the St. Simon's Island Pier. And it's a nice fishing pier that extends out into the Atlantic. It's on the ocean side, and it has a T at the end of it, so you've got the entire length of the pier, and then the spans going in both directions on the T. So that gives you more area to fish and to spread out, but it also gives you two different orientations depending on how the tide moves. You can be parallel to the beach or perpendicular to the beach and how you're facing. It has benches along the way. Part of it is covered, part of it is open. There's a fish cleaning station. One of the best things about it, it's free. Another thing, it's open 24 hours. This is the place that a lot of people are going to go if they want to get, like I say, a fish finder rig and some fresh bait and just cast it out there and see what bites. Usually you're gonna get something out there, but it certainly isn't limited to bait fishing or to bottom species. When I was out there most recently, again, I didn't really fish. I didn't fish off the pier at all. I just went out and explored and looked. But there were people that were catching whiting. They were fishing on the bottom, and then there's a few people out there that were fishing with popping cork rigs, and they were catching some really nice speckled trout. And I think you'll get a whole variety of things according to depending on the season. And I'm not really going to try to break down the fishing opportunities, because that varies so much by season how you would fish. Those are separate videos. I just want to paint a picture of what is there. And then adjacent to the pier is Neptune Park, and it's just a small waterfront park, but there's beach on both sides of the pier that provides access, and some rocks along there. Whether you can fish at Neptune Park and the nature of it really depends. It depends a great deal on the tide. Georgia has big tide swings, and at times the rocks along the edge, or the tide is completely is up on those, and it'd be a dangerous place to fish. You could fish from high on the rocks, but you can't get down there. But on low tide, there's actually a little section of beach on both sides of the pier that you can go up and down and fish, and you can cast some around the bridge supports from a beach standpoint where it's easier to work lures because you're at a lower level. Those first couple supports, usually people that are fishing from the pier also are further out, so you're not getting in anyone's way. So that just provides a different advantage in the same area. And of course, while you're in the pier area, St. Simon's the bait or bait and tackle is right there in the village, the adjacent to right there by the pier, and that's certainly a good place to stop in, whether you need bait or tackle, or you just want some information on what's been biting and what the fish have been doing, recommendations on techniques. So that's the pier itself, Neptune Park, and the bait shop are all together in one place in the village, and that I really would consider that the easiest place to fish. Moving just a couple of miles from the pier, Gould's Inlet probably offers the best habitat and the most diverse saltwater habitat of shore accessible areas and public access areas on St. Simon's Island. It's a pass that's between St. Simon's and Sea Island, and you've got the rivers coming in and dumping out into the Atlantic. So there's, depending on which way the tide is going, it might be going in either direction, but there's almost always tidal movement, and there's a big variety of depths there. There's deep pockets that are right there along the beach, and then there's flatter areas. From where you park, there's a relatively small parking area. It's not room for a lot of cars, but when I've been there, I've always found a place to park anyways. And then you just walk a short ways right down there to the inlet, and are looking straight across it. To the left, there's quite a bit of there are oysters and rocks that create a lot of good hiding places, like for redfish and flounder and that sort of thing. And then when you look to the right, it's more of a classic beach sort of a look, and stretching out. You're right along the inlet, but depending on how far you go, it takes you out onto a point, and there's sort of a shoal right at the mouth of everything. That there's a lot of water, waves breaking, and just a lot of activity. And then if you were to continue around from there even further, you would come to the main Atlantic beach. So, but right there where you're between the two islands and the tidal rivers are coming in, it creates a lot of eddies and current and just a lot of dynamics that provide good fish habitat, and therefore good fishing spots with a lot of variety in one place. Moving to the inside waters on the right after you come onto the island, Gascoigne Bluff Park has a really nice little fishing pier that stretches out into the tidal river, and normally the current is going to be sweeping in one direction or another. There's a lot of water movement there. Probably at times the water is moving a little bit too fast, but a lot of the times it's going to lend itself to good fishing opportunities. It has a fish cleaning station and benches. There's a little lower tier out at the end that gets you down a little closer to the water. I've not spent any fishing time on that pier, so I don't really know specifically about the fishing prospects, but I've seen people fishing there several times when I've been in the area, and I assume that they're there for a reason, and that's all that pier is there for. I mean, some people might walk out there just to look at the water, but it's a fishing pier, and again, it's free, and it gets you on the inside waters. Going back to the beach side, I mentioned the pier area and Gould's Inlet, but in between those two areas, there are several places where you can park that are just beach access. They're the places that people go just to go spend time on the beach, and any of those offer prospects for surf fishing, and that's going to vary really from year to year. It's hard to even pinpoint which of those is the best spot, because beaches on a barrier island are so dynamic. They're always changing with storms and winds coming in, and how the sandbars are set up and where it moves. So you really just need to park in a spot and go out there and look at the water and watch the waves and look for those little bit different sorts of spots that show you that where the sandbar breaks, or even where there's a little cut in the sandbar, or the water moving in a little bit different direction. And you might have to try a couple of different access points to to find the best one. But don't overlook that, because that's definitely extra opportunity if you want just pure surf fishing, casting out into the ocean, and probably not a lot of other people fishing, not a lot of a company from that standpoint. There are several points through that section where you're able to fish the pier itself, or fish the ocean itself. And finally, although this isn't technically on the island, I would put it with the St. Simon's Island fishing opportunities or experience. The causeway that goes back to Brunswick crosses, I think, 4 different bands of tidal river or creek, and at least 3 of those bridges have places on one side or the other or both where you can veer off and you can get down under the bridge, where you actually have fishing access under the bridge, and for sheepshead, and well, really for a lot of different things. A lot of times that's an additional opportunity. And one of the things that I think is cool about the places that I'm have talked about is that they're all different. Each one is a little bit different in character. So depending on the type of area that you like to fish and the species that you want, something at St. Simon's Island probably offers that. So if you're headed to St. Simon's, be sure to bring your fishing rods.